So, good morning. It is a little bit after 9. Starting to notice what I've been noticing ads for the holidays. I don't really ever think of the holidays because I don't really celebrate the holidays. I don't have children that I've got to buy presents for and blah, 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 and all that stuff, you know. But, the holidays is really when they, throw it in your face. There's I would say, well over 60%, if not more, people, really get fucking, depressed around the holidays because it's a reminder of people that they've lost. You know, like somebody, messaged me a couple days ago on my Yahoo email that I've been checking more frequently, and they said, do you remember the last Christmas or Christmases that you spent with your brothers when they were alive? And I couldn't, off the top of my head, I couldn't even, I know some that I remember, not all of blank, but I remember some of them, but I don't think I could remember the last one in particular, because I had lived in a different state, and he had lived in a different state too, on and off, you know what I mean? So, not really, but I think what happens this time of year, you're kind of, if somebody would have told me, like when my brother died, when I lost my brother suddenly 20 fucking years ago, I can't even believe it's been 20 years. I can't believe I got through that year, let alone 10 years on fucking drugs. And I mean, really just fucking pilled out of my mind on drugs and booze and, opiates and everything else, and trying to do what I'm doing now, working, you know what I mean? And just, if I knew, hindsight's 20/20, but the best thing that anybody could do is to get into grief counseling. I noticed a lot of people in my family just seem to move on with whatever, and I don't know how they fucking moved on the way they did, but it was like it never even happened. And that shit fucking impacted, that shit almost fucking killed me. Them years of, what the fuck is this dude doing, bro? Seriously? Fuck them. Those years almost killed me, but, the danger part of all of this is the boo-hoo, it's Christmas, my brother's dead, blah, 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 shit that, don't get me wrong, there was plenty of that, but it's not healthy to fucking put yourself in this. I don't even realize I was doing this, because I would never want to be in a victim fucking mentality, but this is so sad, I can't move on with my life, I'm fucking depressed, and they were literally feelings that I just could not control, plus in the grips of addiction and detoxing and not even knowing what the fuck that was and everything else. It was like a one-way fucking ticket to fuckneckville, because that shit just, it was just by the grace of God, and I give God the glory, because without God, I would have never have gotten through my first brother dying, you know what I mean, at all. And, you get into this negative, and you're not trying to be narcissistic, but the grief was just so fucking consuming that you get into this dangerous thing of grief is all you know. There's no, you're just going through the fucking motions, and it's so dangerous if you could get into grief counseling and snap the fuck out of it, the sooner the better. Because it's just a dangerous mindset, because that's, you and your psyche are conversing with each other and telling each other these things back and forth, and everything is based on fucking sadness, loss, grief. How am I going to move on from this? And nothing about it is fucking positive at all. Nothing about it. And I had just known, this obviously at the end of it, when God delivered me from this plague, I had known near the end of it, all right, well, this obviously, I spent 10 years doing the research of taking pills and feeling bad. This shit is definitely not fucking helping or doing anything, I wasted fucking 10 years of my life, you just, I guess I just realized one day, I just woke, I knew I had to get off of pills, and I knew I had to get back in the gym. I knew I had to get my fucking life together. I was 300 fucking pounds. I was taking 180 Percocets in a week. I was taking Tramadol. I was taking fentanyl when they were in the little things that you could suck on. I was taking pills that you could snort, pills that you could inject. Anything to fucking just not make me feel sad. You know what I mean? And it just does. It's not one. It doesn't fucking work. Because if it worked, it would work. It's not sustainable. It's not profitable in the spiritual sense. And, the best thing that happened to me was getting sober. But you have to look at, life is really a fucking test of how much shit can you go through without breaking. And when you start looking at things are really beyond your control, it's really your perspective and how you're going to fucking work through this. It doesn't mean it has to be overnight. It doesn't mean you have to put your head down and watch Full Metal Jacket or anything crazy. I just know, when I broke up with my whatever the fuck, after losing my brothers, being in jail, getting sober, being homeless, there was nothing. I wasn't happy about having to do it. And I wasn't happy about the process, and I wasn't fucking looking forward to going through that and having my fucking heart broken, even though I'm the one doing the, it was just a real fucking toxic amalgamation of bullshit. But I just knew I could get through it, and I just knew it would, one day I just knew that, when one day, 9 years in, and my brother's been dead, and, me and my brother were close, you know what I mean? One day I just woke up and God had taken that from me. It wasn't that I missed him less, but that fucking hole that was in my heart, where my heart was my heart was broke, was gone. And I didn't feel that, eternal sadness, I guess would be the best way to describe it. I didn't feel that fucking sadness. So I'm just, with the holidays coming up, I tell people, go to meetings. You're not alone. Trust me when I tell you, I remember my first couple meetings, the amount of people that I was like, oh, everybody's kind of fucking has fuck-ups in their family. There's nothing wrong with being sad. There's nothing wrong with being depressed, but it's not an emoji that you want to fucking use every day. When I broke up with my girlfriend, I didn't use drugs. I used that shit for fuel. I said, yeah, well, I'm going to do even better than I would if you were with me. I'm not going to let this, you are not going to get credit for fucking breaking me, you know what I mean? And nor is anybody else, you know? And you just have to, you know, that's what I tell people, you know, I wouldn't have a life at all, okay, if I didn't go to the gym and I didn't have my animals. I would have nothing, okay? I would have a job, and that's what drugs did. They just filled that empty loneliness up in my life. You know, same thing with other people. If they didn't have their marriage, or if they didn't have, you know, their kids or whatever, they would be by themselves. Probably, you know, people aren't meant to be by themselves, but I've spent most of my life by myself, you know. I've slept next to a cat more than I've slept next to a fucking human being, other than my little brother when we were kids and we shared a fucking bunk bed, you know. You just have to fucking realize, like, alcohol is not going to fix my problems, you know what I mean? Or I would be drinking right now, you know?